Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of I See What You Did There. Well, it's one of my favorite times of year, Game of Thrones season! That's right, I absolutely love the Game of Thrones TV series, and the Song of Ice and Fire books are some of my favorite book series of all time. So, in honor of the new season, I'd like to do an episode of I See What You Did There based on Game of Thrones, since there's a lot that you can dissect between the book series and the television series. That being said, this episode will contain spoilers for up to Season 4 of the television series, as well as spoilers from the books. For the 6 children of Ned Stark, the bond between them and their direwolves is one that plays a significant role in the series, whether it is in how a character behaves, how others view them, or in some cases, what the wolf represents to them. For today's episode, I will be examining the relationship between Robb Stark and his wolf, Grey Wind, and how his relationship with his wolf foreshadows future events in the series. The wolves of House Stark are more than just their house sigil. For the Stark children, their wolves play a key role in their development throughout the series. The connections they make with their respective wolf have a profound effect on their character growth and their place in the world. In the case of Robb Stark and his wolf Grey Wind, it is not only how Robb listens to Grey Wind that plays a role in the story, but his choices to ignore Grey Wind are just as significant, if not more so. Robb names his wolf Grey Wind because of his speed. When he runs, he is like a gray blur over the fields. His name focuses on his speed and agility, which are central later when Robb takes up arms against the Lannisters. Grey Wind becomes an important component to Robb's battle strategies, and we often hear stories of Grey Wind's feats on the battlefield, some a bit more exaggerated than others. As far as we know, Robb never develops any of the warging abilities that some of his siblings develop. Instead, the focus for his wolf is on his physical prowess alone, referring back to Robb's militaristic strength. Although generally the wolves tend to take on personality traits matching their respective owners, in some cases the wolves have characteristics that say a little more about the Stark children. In Grey Wind's case, he is obedient to a fault with Robb, and hardly ever ignores a command. Grey Wind's obedience reflects Robb's need to follow what he believes to be the path set to him by his father. At the end of Season 1 and the beginning of Season 2, the end of Game of Thrones and the end of Clash of Kings book-wise, Robb is initially hesitant to take up the role of the King in the North, but eventually he becomes more confident in himself as they continue to win battles. Robb's relationship with Grey Wind does foreshadow his death, although this is implied much more in the books and isn't seen nearly as much in the television series. Grey Wind constantly alerts Robb whenever there is someone he considers to be a threat. This isn't always the case, such as when Tyrion arrives at Winterfell to give the sketches of the special saddle for Bran to Robb. Even Robb looks shaken. The wolves, I don't know why they did that. No doubt they mistook me for dinner. Lannister bowed stiffly to Bran. Game of Thrones, Bran, Chapter 24. The wolves are wary of Tyrion, but at that point in the book it is mostly a red herring. The readers at this point are unsure of who might have sent the assassin after Bran, and Catelyn suspects Tyrion. Twice in the books, Grey Wind suspects people who end up being traitors. Lord Rolf Spicer, brother to Sybil Westerling, the mother of Jean Westerling, who Robb marries in the books, is one of the people who plots the Red Wedding, and Grey Wind does not like the smell of him and considers him a threat. The other time is when Robb arrives at Walder Frey's keep. When the Freys were a half-dozen yards away, Catelyn heard him growl, a deep rumble that seemed almost one with rush of the river. Robb looked startled. "Grey Wind, to me! To me!" Instead, the direwolf leapt forward, snarling. A Storm of Swords, Catelyn, Chapter 49. Both times Catelyn urges Robb to listen to Grey Wind and to trust his instincts, as the wolves can sense intent far better than humans. Robb's startled expression at having Grey Wind not immediately obey his command should have been a warning to him, but he's distracted by trying to want to fix the relationship between the Freys and Starks, and instead locks Grey Wind up and away from the wedding. Any man Grey Wind mislikes is a man I do not want close to you. These wolves are more than wolves, Robb. You must know that. I think perhaps the gods sent them to us. Your father's gods, the old gods of the North. A Storm of Swords, Catelyn, Chapter 14. Robb's downfall in the books is portrayed very differently than in the television series. The TV series has his love for Talisa presented in a very Romeo and Juliet kind of tragic affair, where Robb is choosing emotions over logic. Ultimately, he is choosing love over duty. However, it is sort of the opposite in the books. In the books, Robb's army takes control of the Crag, the keep of the Westerlings, a noble family loyal to the Lannisters, and Robb ends up sleeping with Jean, the daughter of the keep's lord. In order to protect her honor, he marries her the next day, despite the fact that he has made the promise to the Freys. Robb constantly struggles with finding the honorable path, mirroring his father's struggle in King's Landing. Both characters have the opportunity to take the advantage, but choose not to do so. For Ned, he tries to give Cersei a chance to flee to King's Landing and informs her of his intentions. In Robb's case, he chooses to marry Jean since he slept with her, even though he has promised to another. He doesn't have to marry Jean in order to keep favor with the Westerlings since he has conquered their keep. He doesn't have to marry Jean just because he slept with her. But he holds himself to the same honorable standard of his father, believing his choice to be the right one. In changing the motivation for Robb's breaking his oath to the Freys, the TV series is losing a bit of the distinct mirroring that the book does with Robb to his father. Once you see that Robb is beginning to make the same kinds of choices that his father did, it makes his demise all the more devastating. In a sense, Grey Wind serves as the emotional instinct, the more animalistic and raw emotion, whereas the complications of war, as well as what Robb imposes on himself in trying to be the King of the North, causes him to push away from the instincts that Grey Wind represents. A hall is no place for a wolf. He gets restless, you've seen, growling and snapping. I should never have taken him into battle with me. He's killed too many men to fear them now. He is a part of you, Robb. To fear him is to fear you. I am not a wolf, no matter what they call me. A Storm of Swords, Catelyn, Chapter 14. Grey Wind can sense the ill intent behind the Spicers and the Freys, and he does what he can to warn Robb. Ultimately, Robb's demise is eerily similar to Ned's. In trying to do what he considered to be the honorable thing, Robb pays the price with his life. Much of Robb's motivations lie in his love and loyalty to his father. He greatly admires his father and is fighting to clear his name and get back at the ones responsible for killing him. In trying to be so much like his father, however, Robb ends up pushing away the part of him that is a Stark. He is trying too much to be Ned. He cannot see the path that is laid before him when he tries to be too much like his father. Robb recognizes the dangerous nature of the direwolves. As he becomes more and more wrapped up in the political complications of war, he tries to remain human without realizing that the connection to Grey Wind is an inherent part of him. He's a direwolf, not a dog, said Robb, and dangerous to men he does not trust. Sir Ranald, stay with him. I won't take him into Lord Walder's hall like this. A Storm of Swords, Catelyn, Chapter 49. Robb keeps trying to separate himself more and more from his identity as a wolf, and by doing that he is blinding himself to what Grey Wind is able to see. As Catelyn constantly tries to tell him, there is a part of him that is connected to Grey Wind, and by ignoring or keeping him away, he is ultimately casting off a part of himself. In the end, unfortunately, Grey Wind and Robb are reunited in a rather gruesome and horrific manner. The Freys chop off Grey Wind's head and attach it to Robb's body as an insult to his name, Young Wolf, and King in the North. This is actually foreshadowed in A Clash of Kings, when Daenerys has visions in the House of the Undying. In a throne above them sat a dead man with the head of a wolf. He wore an iron crown and held a leg of lamb in one hand as a king might hold a scepter, and his eyes followed Dany with mute appeal. A Clash of Kings, Daenerys, Chapter 48. Robb and Grey Wind's mutilation ultimately is a result of Robb being unable to listen to Grey Wind's warnings. His connection to his wolf was something that he tried to push away in order to be taken more seriously by his men, and in the end he is forced to reunite with his wolf in an awful manner. Robb has, in death, become what he has feared, the wolf that others viewed him to be. We have seen then how Robb's slow progression away from Grey Wind ultimately becomes his undoing. I'm able to go back and point out each of the decisions that lead to this, mostly because Robb's story has concluded. Taking this and Robb's connection to his wolf into account then, what fates lie in wait for the rest of the Stark children? I will be covering the other Stark children in future I See What You Did There videos, and I am planning more Game of Thrones related episodes dealing with other characters or events. If you guys liked this Game of Thrones video, post in the comments below and let me know if there are any other portions of the series that you'd like me to cover. I'm Kaluna, and thanks for watching I See What You Did There.